What's good, y'all? Another day, another dollar, and me breaking down these charts and explaining how you can get your edge in the market. So what I'm going to be talking about in this video is zones. So you have to understand this when you're trading. You have to understand that the market likes to trade from zone to zone. So on my screen, we see multiple zones, right? All these green boxes are zones, or they're considered area of interest where traders' orders are coming into the market, all right? So the green ones represents buying orders, and then the pink, red, and all of that represents selling orders, right? So from these zones on the screen, if I'm just focusing in on my daily, so because this is where my trade is that I'm currently in is at. If I'm focusing in on my daily, what I want to realize is, what do we have? A new zone here. So now that we have a new support zone here, it lets me know that price is going to end up pushing back to this zone. So I need to be buying down here because this is where all the buyers are. And your goal as a trader is to enter inside of the zone on the side that matches or reflects what's being shown. So some people like to trade naked charts. Me, I like to use my algorithm because my algorithm shows me where these orders are, and then it's easier for me to spot my entry points. So right here on my daily, I can see that I'm in the buy-in zone area. Well, I technically was in it down here, but I wasn't trading this pair on this day, so I kind of missed this entry. But now that it's back outside the zone, I'm in up here, and then I was in up here on the breakout when we broke this level here. I didn't wait on the retest. I should have waited on the retest because the entry should have just been here, right? But now I still have two positions open, and then these trades will continue to push up here to the zone. Now in this zone up here, I can have a reaction. So once I hit this zone up here, I can get a lot of selling orders come in, and this zone up here, this pink zone, could then confirm and this become verified. If this zone becomes verified, that's when I know that more sellers are coming into the market than buyers. And then at that moment, I know that price is just going to leave this zone or this area and come back to this zone in this area, because that's what the market tends to do. The market tends to go from one zone to the next, to the next, to the next. That's just all it does. It doesn't do anything else. If you can learn how to trade zone for zone, and you can stay on the side of order flow, and you can trade with the people that's trading in said direction, you will be you will have a lot more success as a trader instead of just taking random trades. See, what a lot of traders do is they tend to place a lot of their trades in this dead zone. That's this space in between the two zones. And when you do that, typically what happens is a lot of the times they will just spike you out. They will have news events. They will do all these different things to spike and pull you out. So you got to learn how to avoid that. So now on the daily is such a slow time frame that it's hard for me to just lock in on a daily, because you have to wait drastic amount of hours in order to see the result or to get the confirmation that you may be looking for. So what I tend to do is I tend to mark these zones from my daily and then move down to my lower time frames. So for instance here, this will be my rejection zone, and I know that anything above this level right here, anything above this level here, it's a mountain of sellers, right? Now from here, I will put a line here, right, at the top of the zone, because anything in between those two lines is where all the selling orders has been confirmed to come from. Now I will do that same thing down here, and I will place this line here for my buying zone, and I'll push a line here for the exit of my buying zone, and I will just change the color of these, and I will make it represent what it is that I need to see. All right, so I need to see buyers, and I want to see where they are. So these are my buyers and these are my sellers, right? Now, these are the two most important areas on my chart. Nothing else on the chart matters to me. I just need to know where the buyers are and where the sellers are. And when I can map out where the buyers and the sellers are coming from, I can easily assess and take the trade that I want to see, because that's the trade that I'm going to be making, right? So how you're going to do that is this. Well, how I do it is this. I then go down to my 4-hour time frame. So now my 4-hour time frame, I can see the exact areas where all the buyers are and where all the sellers are. And my goal is to, like I said, stay on the side that the trend is showing me. So if I'm looking here, I can see that price had a high here, then it had a low here. Now between this high and between this low, Everything else right here is just consolidation. Price hasn't went anywhere. So what is the last thing that happened? That's the next question that you got to ask yourself. Okay, so this is the high and this is the low, focusing on my 4-hour time frame. What is the last thing that happened? So the last thing that happened would be that it created a high. So if I zoom out a little bit, I can see we had a high here, we shot down, we created this low, we created a high here, we created a higher low, then we created a higher high, right? Now this was my most relevant higher high. And then from this high, what did it do? Slammed all the way down and created this low, right? So now I have a higher high and then I have a low. So now that I got that, I'm allowed to now zoom in and lock in on this part of my chart. Because now this is all that matters. Nothing else matters on the chart because this is what we need to lock in on. So from here, what you need to do is you want to see price break above this high. Well, since this is already green, I'm going to just bring this down. You don't want to see price break below this low right here. So we're going to change the color of this on a 4-hour. Well, we're just going to make it thicker. Well, we'll dash it. Let's see how it look dashed. There we go. Dash. All right. So on the 4-hour, this low here, we don't want price to close below this low. If price closed below this low, that's telling us now it wants to go back into a selling trend, right? Then we're going to put a line here at the top of this where my last high was at, right? And then I'm going to turn this one red. Boom, bam, click, bam. Now right here, that's my red line. Now on this red line, that lets me know this is the high. So this is the most relative high and this is the most relative low. Now I have to wait for price to break out of this range. If it doesn't break out of this range, it's just going to keep consolidating in between this range. And that's what you see happening now. This was the last high. This was the low. And what did price do? It came from this low, established this low, pulled back to the high, got close, rejected, pulled back where? To the low, got close, rejected, pulled back towards the high, rejected, pulled back towards the low, bounced off of it, rejected, and then created a higher high right here, breaking this high right there, right? So that's all price is doing. And your goal is to just follow price. What is price doing? Okay, I want to not enter at the highs. I want to enter at the lows because the last thing that happened was we broke structure to the upside. So I'm only looking for buys on this pair. So my opportunity to buy is down here inside of this zone, which right here is my daily zone. And then I got to look out for sales in this whole area up here because a lot of sellers are up there. So whenever you get on a chart, your goal should always be to recognize where are the traders coming in at so that you can jump on the right side of the trade, right? So if price gets up into this area, I don't want to be looking for buys in this area because I understand sellers are here and price can get pushed back down on me, which a lot of traders may have did over here, trying to catch this big bullish run. And then they was like, okay, price is going to keep buying. Nope, turned around, pulled back because they wasn't paying attention that they was in the seller zone, right? So price is consolidated right here in between these two ranges. So what price tends to do is go from one zone to the next, one zone to the next, one zone to the next, one zone to the next. That's all it does. And we can go to any pair. Let's go over here. We go to any pair and we can see that, right? So if I come here, well, I'll go to a random pair that I don't have up. Let's go to gold, right? Let's go to gold. All right. So gold here, it's like a naked chart, right? So if I'm looking at this on a plain chart and I'm just paying attention to this right here, we can see price established a level here, right? Price established a level here. And then right here, we're going to say we're going to go from this area. Oh, we'll go from this last high, this high here, right? So this high here, this was a rejection zone. This was a rejection zone. So this was resistance right here. So what did price end up doing? Price ended up breaking resistance, retesting resistance, and then establishing a high right here at that little peak. That was the high. So at that peak, that was the high. High was here. We had another resistance here. Now, we needed this high to become support because once this high was the high, the last support line we had was right down here, right? There was no other support. There was no other real support in between these two trades during this moment, right? Just looking at these zones, this would have been the buying area. That would have been the selling area. So then when you look at it, you can see every time the candle came down here to this buying area, it just bought, because that's the buying area. Now up here, this is the selling area. So every time it gets up here, reject, right here, reject, not really wanting to break, and then breaking, and then come back and retesting, and then going. So now that this area was now broken, this area right here was now broken, this area becomes support, because that's what price ended up doing, making it support here, right? So now every time price is in this area, a lot of buyers are here to push the market back up. Push the market back up, come this way, push the market back up, come this way, push the market back up until it gets over this line here. So now if I put my software on and I look at it, I can see, what did we just look at? Right here in that area, these became a support line, right? So now I don't have to technically do that manually anymore because it automatically does it for me and it tracks them for me, right? So if we're just looking right here on the 4 hour, my last support block was here. So if we go over that last gold trade that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, right here. Oh, it's a new week. So if you go back to my video that I posted last week, you can see that I was telling people that gold was in the buying area. And in this buying area, this is where all the buyers were, because this is where the buyers pushed the market up from the last time. So when my software showed me that we were sitting in the buying area, we end up taking a buy from down here at like 307, 308, and we carried it all the way up to 46, which was here. Now, why did we get out at 46? Because this is where the rejection zone was. So this was still a rejection area right here until price comes back, retests this area, and then turns it into support. If it never comes back to this area and retests this area, this is still a rejection area until price comes down, confirms that this is now support, and then price can push higher. So you don't have to manually do that, but you can see what's going on by just looking at the chart. Now, if I come to my daily, I can see on my daily, my last support area is down here. So I don't technically have a resistance because we're at all-time highs. So when the market goes to all-time highs, there is no resistance point yet. We don't have a resistance block. We don't have a bunch of sellers coming into the market yet because we're at all-time highs. Buyers are just pushing the market higher, higher, higher. But your goal will be to figure out where these areas are on whatever pair that you trade. It doesn't matter what pair you trade. What's something that's not at all-time highs? Let's look at the indices real fast. All right, boom. All right. So if I'm looking at the indices, wham, if I come here, what do I see, right? It's not complicated to look at this chart and see exactly what's going on. This was my rejection area. This was the high. This was the low. Price ended up breaking this high, right? Came back, retested, made it support. Now this is a verified support. So now I know all the buyers are in this area right here. These are where all the buyers at. Anybody looking to buy the indices is just sitting right here. They waiting on price to get back into the zone. Then they all coming in with the big buy, and then the market's going to boom up that way, right? That's basically what happens. Now, once the market is going to push up from here, where do you think the target point is going to be? Right here. It's not going to stop in between here. Only way it stops in between here is if a new area of sellers come into the market somewhere in between here and they have a high volume and they push the market down. But I doubt that they will, because this is the most relevant high and most relevant low. So what you will want to do is look for buys anywhere down here in this area, and you want to be targeting these highs up here, because this is your target point. This is the last zone. So if we're looking at the daily, on my daily, my zone is here for the buy. My zone is here for the sell. My zone is here for the buy, right? Now, when I come down to my 4 hour, it should reflect the same exact thing that my daily says, right? Now on my 4 hour, well, first I got to be able to see the exact area because I don't want to lose it. I want to put the buy level there. buy level here. This is the zone on the daily. Sell level here. Sell level here. I'll change the color real fast. That way we can identify it on a lower time frame. Change this color, change that color, boom. All right, there we go. Now, when I go down here to the 4 hour, make sure they don't move. Go to the 4 hour, I can see none of these levels really matter other than this red one up here, right? That red one is the key level, right? That's the key indicating level that we got to watch out for, because a lot of sellers are sitting right here in this area. It was enough to push the market all the way back down here. So now we want to get into our buys and push the market back up here. But the thing is, you want to try to find where that buy is at. Now, I can always tell when that buy is coming because the software will give me a signal. I look for the setup, we get the move, boom. So right here, I got a bottom, a high, a low, a higher low right here. So I see the double bottom forming. So more than likely this next month, the indices is going to start buying again, right? They're already back down here where the buys are at. Right? And that's not saying that price is ready to just go right now. It could still push down, dip into this area. But if it dips into this area, what am I doing in between these two areas? I'm only looking for buy signals right here. The moment I get my buy signal anywhere in between here, I can 100% guarantee that price will go from this area and then push and target all the way back up here at this area. And the only way I would not target this area up here is if I come to this daily time frame and they verify a level somewhere in between here. But as of right now, with this spot being blank, this is just a travel zone. And what I mean by a travel zone, price just trends in between here, trends back down, trends in between here, trends back down. That's what happens in this area. Price just tends to trend, right? So from this area, what I want to see is I want to see price form, or I want this level to go proven. If this level go proven, great. I'm only looking for a buy, a big buy. That's letting me know I'm going to get new highs, but I'm ultimately going to be targeting this level from anywhere down here. I'm not going to be looking to sell the market from the area where I know all the buyers are at. So a lot of people, what they're doing right now is they're looking to take sales because they saying sell this, sell that, the news this, news that, but you shouldn't be selling because this is the area where the buyers are. You're in the zone where the buyers are at. So you know a lot of buy volume and volatility can come from this area. So you should only be looking for opportunities to buy because you're right where all the buyers are. If you were up here, by all means, you can sell it. But your goal is to figure out where you are on the chart and always stay on the right side of the chart so that you can always make the right decision. Now, the decision is buying with the buyers, selling with the sellers, and then figuring out who has the more momentum. The person with the most momentum is the person who wins the tug of war battle. And you want to be on the side of the people who are going in the same direction as you. Now, how do you avoid it? Here, you look for entries in this zone only. You look for entries in this zone only. If you in between here, you want to then go from where it's coming from. If I'm looking for a trade in this area here, I'm looking to see, oh, we was coming from here. So I should still be targeting this area. But then now that we hit this area and we reject it, what does that tell us? That now tells us that we're coming from here. So if I zoom this chart in and all I could see was this over here, I can understand that price is coming from the buying area. The last thing that happened was we was in the sell zone, we came to the buying zone, we came up, we made a higher low, and now we're just here. We're just lingering in this area. See what I'm saying? So now what's going on is we are at the buying zone. We hit the buying zone, the buyers came in, now they're pushing the market up. So now we only need to be looking for buys. We're not looking for any sales on the indices. If I'm trading US 30, I'm only looking for buys now because I just hit my buy zone. Now that I hit my buy zone, I'm looking for the buyers to come in and then somebody to just shoot this thing straight up to the moon, right? So that's how you want to trade. So I would tell any new trader watching this video, focus on figuring out what zone you're in. And not only just that, figure out where price is coming from. You have to know where price is coming from, and then you have to identify where price is going. And if you do that, then you know you're on the right page. And it's multiple ways to do this. You can even go from higher time frames, right? Higher time frame, you see this here? We're coming, we have a rejection zone up here, but we don't have a box there. So like you don't have the system, but on the system, it'll put a box here. If a box comes up here in this area, all I'm going to think is what? Oh, we're going back to this zone on the monthly. But I also understand that right now with what's going on in the world, for price for the indices to come back to what's that, 124, it will have to be bombs over Baghdad for price to push all the way back down here, right? And that's not finna happen. Like there's nothing significant going on with the war right now in the world that's going to push price all the way back down to 30. So all that's eventually going to happen is this. You're going to have one of these months where I'll say they make up some news and it's just going to shoot all the way back up here. And it's going to take this high out, right? Because they're just going to push the market back up because there's nothing really going on for it to sell. Plus it's already on a buying trend, right? So the trend is still up and we're still buying. So if I drop down to my weekly, I can see we're on the weekly. All right, so on the weekly, we have a new support level here. So at most, if you trade in the weekly, yeah, we could come down a little lower technically, right? Because our next zone is right here. So if they wanted to push price from here to here and then buy it from here, they definitely could, right? But I will have to be doing that based off of my weekly chart. But as of right now, if I'm trading, the lowest I go to like justify my trades will be here on the daily chart. And with my daily chart says we right here in the buy area. I'm only looking for buys. Now, if price breaks this area, guess what? It breaks that area, and now I'm looking for buys in this area. I'm not looking for anything right here. I'm looking for buys in this area. I'm looking for buys in this area. That's all I'm looking for, right? I'm just looking for a buy to hit the area where all the buyers were at. Wherever all the buyers got into the market, I want to get into the market. Wherever all the sellers get into the market, I want to get into the market, right? So with my current trades right now, if I'm looking at it, so we got AUD right here. So AUD, we're coming from the sell zone. We went to the buy zone, went back to the sell zone, and now we were on our way back down. So we were on our way back down to this level here. Now, the reason why I say that we're on our way to this level here is because price had just came from this zone and pushed back inside of this zone. Now, once we push back inside of this zone and we rejected that zone, that lets me know price wants to go make lower lows. Lower low here and to target this low here, right? So my real TP, honestly, should be here. That's where my TP should be, but I like to secure my profit. So I put my TP like right there in the wick somewhere, right? So I can get profit right here in this wick. But ultimately, I know what? Price on AUD is coming from a sell zone. It was in the sell zone, went to a buy zone, went back to the sell zone, left that sell zone, and on its way back to this buy zone. Okay, we hit the buy zone, and what did they do? They bought the market up. Kudos to them, right? So I already had my position in from 2 days ago, so we were already in. Price went down and it pulled back to my position. That's all that happened. But that doesn't mean that it's not selling still. That just means that's where the buyers were. They still had more momentum, so they pushed this back up. They came back to retest my entry. Now from here, all they're going to do is continue pushing down to this area of buyers because there's not enough buyers here to save them, right? And plus they got some corrections they need to go do over here. That's a little bit deeper into my mentorship, but down here, I can already sell. They pushing through here and they coming here, right? So they're going to come to here and my TP is going to be right where the buyers come into the market at, which is right here, right? So that's why I originally had my TP there because that's where the buyers are going to be, right? So I want to get out right before this group of buyers get back into the market, right? So my sellers confirmed up here that they got more sellers in the market than buyers right here. So they pushed the market down and now we're on our way back down to take out this level and then see how this next group of buyers are doing. And if this next group of buyers aren't strong enough to verify this level and push price back up, I could keep holding because there's nothing down there. You know, it could just keep selling to wherever it wants to sell to. So my goal is to now swing this trade from this level up here and then continue pushing down to this next group of buyers, right? because I'm just tracking what price is doing. What is price showing me? Is price showing me more sellers or is it showing me more buyers? And right now, the most relevant thing that happened was all the sellers came in here and they pushing price down, right? So I'm going to stay on the selling side for this pair because it's pushing price down. And as you can see, it's just lingering in between this area because this is a dead space, and they're going to eventually keep pushing this down, more than likely tomorrow, right? So tomorrow we'll get more sellers coming to market. We'll get a harder push. We'll push down and we'll continue pushing down to this next group of buyers, right? So then if I come over here to UCAD, which is the same thing here. So UCAD, what do I see? We came down, we came back into we went from the buy zone to the sell zone, to the buy zone, to the sell zone, back to the buy zone, buyers pushed it up, back to the buy zone, buyers pushed it up, and then another support came here because this support wasn't here. I just know how the support works. So this support originally wasn't here, and then they populated this support here. So now that this support is now here, I'm only looking for buys. Why? Because we're targeting this area up here. There's obviously more buyers in this market than sellers, because if it was more sellers, it would have just kept selling. So that's your goal. Your goal is to figure out where's the zone where the buyers are, where's the zone where the sellers are. And once we enter that zone, you want to make your decision based on who's winning the tug of war battle. Now, right now, like I said, I can tell that the winners of this battle as of now are the buyers because we have a new support zone here. So I want to focus on the buyers. And then right here, what do I see? I see a proven level. So this is a proven level of support. So that's letting me know this level is proven. The sellers is not strong enough to push us through this level. And we had a verified level here. So we was verified at this level, letting them know that the sellers couldn't push us through here. Then we got onto this level. Now they showing us that we're proven that they can't push us through here. They done tried multiple times, once, twice, a third. They couldn't do it. All right, there's more buyers in this area than there are sellers in this market. So what are we going to do? The buyers are all going to jump on the same bandwagon and they're going to blow price up and push past all these sellers and stop all these sellers out, right? So that's your goal. Your goal when you come on a chart is only to look for the zones that's representing what you want to trade. You want to get in the zones where there are buyers at. You want to avoid zones where there are sellers at. If you don't have your entry game down. So the easiest way to make sure that you stay on the right side is just first learn how to trade zone to zone. All right. So that's basically what this video is about. Learning how to trade zone from zone and then understanding what zone you're in. Because if you want to succeed as a trader, all you have to do is just be on the right side of the market. It's that easy. And guess what? It's only two sides you can be on. You have to be a buyer or you have to be a seller. There's no in between. There's no consolidation. There's none of that. You have to be a buyer or you have to be a seller. What side do you want to join? You always want to join the winning side. This is not a sport and this is not a game where you can join the losing team and make them better. It doesn't work that way. There's somebody that's always winning. There's a 51 to 49 in every time that we jump on these charts, right? So the 51% will always win the tug of war over the 49 unless people start to convert over. And the only way it converts over is if we pull the GameStop move when everybody puts in enough money to make the other side lose, right? But for you, you can't do that as much in the Forex market. So the best thing for you is to just come on, figure out what side of the game you're on, take those trades based off of that information and push. And I promise you, that will lead you to being a successful trader. I'm gonna see y'all in the next video.